Shmulik was very upset. He was feeling bad about something. So he went to his rabbi, went to visit his rabbi. And he said, Rabbi, I feel bad about something I did. I kind of sinned. Rabbi said, Shmulik, what happened? And he said, well, I ate a meal and I did not do Birkat Hamazon. I didn't do the grace after meals. Well, we were supposed to say the grace after meals after every meal, but so the rabbi goes, well, it doesn't sound that bad, Shmulik. Why didn't you say the grace after meals? And he says, well, actually, because I had bread with dinner and I didn't wash. I didn't do Nitilat Yadayim before my meal, and so I didn't do grace after meals. And the rabbi said, well, that's odd, Shmulik. Why in the world wouldn't you wash your hands before you have bread? That's what we're all supposed to do. And he said, well, actually, because I was eating in a non-kosher restaurant. And now the rabbi is actually really upset. Shmulik does not eat in a non-kosher restaurant. He said, Shmulik, why in the world were you eating in a non-kosher restaurant? And he goes, well, because I wanted a cheeseburger. By this time, the rabbi is ripping his hair out. He can't believe this. He takes Shmuel by the hand. He says, Shmuel, please tell me, why on earth didn't you just go and eat in a kosher restaurant? And Shmuel goes, because there weren't any open on Yom Kippur. I heard that joke a few weeks ago from a colleague, and I thought it was so funny I needed to figure out a way that I could tell it tonight. But on a serious note, what I want to share this evening has to do with the importance of ritual in keeping us sane and hopeful, even in the most unsettled times. And I think that most of you might agree that we are traversing a very difficult period in history that will likely become harder for the foreseeable future. Our ancestors spent many high holidays knowing that their lives were in peril. The fact that we are here right now, carrying on their traditions, means that something powerful ushered them through some truly horrific times. And that's what we're going to explore tonight in hopes that we too can derive some strength. Since the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, Rabbinic Judaism has created thousands of rituals, like washing your hands before we eat bread or saying grace after meals, that give helpful structure to our daily lives. A modern-day Jew picks and chooses. That said, there are two major ritual moments associated with biblical holidays framing the Jewish year that are essential to shaping a Jewish identity: Passover and Yom Kippur. Tonight I'm going to do something radical. With Israel on the brink of war, a monumental election in America less than a month away, and incessant extreme weather events, I'm going to talk about Yom Kippur on Yom Kippur. About 50 years ago, a Pew-like study of American Jews revealed that the most widely observed Jewish ritual among secular Jews was the Passover Seder. It is true that not all Seders involve a deep exploration of the text of the Haggadah or singing until the wee hours of the morning, but the fact that families gather for this annual banquet and encourage their children to ask questions about matzah, dipping, and bitter herbs, that the afikomen is hidden for children to find, that we invite the prophet Elijah into our homes, that parents and grandparents prepare foods especially associated with this holiday, are very powerful memory makers. And somewhere in there, even if it's subtle, is the message that God redeemed us from slavery to live as a free people so that we could be agents in helping other enslaved peoples know the blessings of freedom to live, worship, and thrive. The second annual ritual that binds us as a people is Yom Kippur, right now. There are those who intentionally enter a synagogue but one time a year on this night. A surprising number of people who do not attend synagogue at all choose to fast. Everyone in this room tonight has personal reasons for being here that are yours alone to cherish. What I hope we'll do in our brief time together is help all of us appreciate some of the nuances of Yom Kippur that will add to the richness of our personal observances. The original title of this sermon was Knowing God Through Time, Truth, and Love, because everything that happens on this holiest day of the year can be distilled down to those three aspects of God. The Jewish God not only defies time, God is manifest through time. Eli Sheva, the name Eli Sheva, my God is 7. Translated, my God is the day of rest. The Sabbath day that we are charged to remember and keep holy every week, that was described by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel as a taste of eternity, is so because God is eternal. God is also manifest through truth, emet. In Jeremiah chapter 10, it explicitly says, Adonai Elohim emet. Adonai is truth. Not the kind of truth that can be debated, distorted, or misinterpreted. It's the truth that is revealed long after the debaters, the distorters have withered away. It is the truth about each of us that can only be fully known when our time on earth is done. It's an absolute truth that is beyond human understanding because our humanness naturally impacts the accuracy of how we read and assess the world around us. And last, love is the reason why we're here. For more than a month now, we've been wishing each other, Shana Tova Tikatevu V'Techatemu, may you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Who's inscribing and who's sealing? It's God. Why on earth would we care about being sealed in some metaphoric book of life or being in God's good graces when it's our time to step off the planet if we did not feel some sense of obligation to that entity? In the first century, when pressed to do so, Rabbi Hillel reduced the essence of Torah to 3 words from Leviticus, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow as yourself, because every law given in the Torah, both explicitly and implicitly, is about according dignity to fellow humans, animals, the earth, and God. On a global level, we are doing a terrible job. But that's a different sermon. The love associated with the idea of God is different than parental love, romantic love, or the love of something, although those do help us understand elements of this higher love. Godly love requires us to think at every turn about how our actions and our words, large and small, impact people we know and people we don't know. Every action we take, in business, our personal lives, the words we say, how we spend our wealth, how we greet passersby, should be founded upon expressing our commitment to God by showing care and concern for people, creatures, and our planet. Out of love, God gave us the capacity to love one another in so many powerful ways. Engaging in atonement rituals every year is how we say, we're in, and thank you. The drama of Passover is driven by the externals. The set, our homes, and the props are the foods, the Seder table, and the Haggadah. We rid our homes of chametz, we turn over our kitchens, we shop, we cook, we plan the Seder table and the meal, and we design a Seder script that will be relevant and meaningful for all of our guests so that they will be able to identify with the universal notion of liberation. The drama on Yom Kippur is driven by weeks of rehearsal centered on internal dialogue with ourselves and reaches a pinnacle with specific costume and a fabulous script known as the Machzor. There's no matzo ball soup in this play, but that's okay because we are too excited to eat. The theater we create on Yom Kippur places us as close as we can possibly get to God in human form, a realm where food and drink aren't even necessary. It gets better. This year's production of Yom Kippur, the great and awesome day of gathering, that each of us is starring in right now, is actually meant to pick up from where last year's show left off, and in fact, goes all the way back to your first Yom Kippur. I want to invite everybody here in this room to take a minute and think about the first memory you have of being in synagogue on Yom Kippur. Really go back and think about that if you can. Think about the first time that you were aware that Yom Kippur is a day like no other. What did your childhood synagogue look like? Who were you sitting next to? Was the little person who's you playing with their father's tzitzit out of boredom? Were they wondering when on earth the endless litany of prayers might come to an end, or why so many people are asking for money? Were you wondering why the cantor was wearing a white mitre, or what you thought was a funny hat, instead of a black one? That little kid is with you right now, alongside your teenage self, the you that refused to go to shul in your 20s because you just didn't care, and the you that discovered Judaism as an adult, and every year until today. There are many things that we do on Yom Kippur that emphasize the suspension of time and the idea that for these 25 hours, past, present, and future are one. 364 days a year, external talitot are worn only during morning prayers. On Yom Kippur, we don our talit before Kol Nidre when it's still the 9th of Tishrei, and we don't take them off until the end of Ne'ilah when the 11th of Tishrei has already begun, to indicate that the 10th of Tishrei, the Day of Atonement, there is no distinction between day and night. Like God, the capacity to atone is infinite. The white costume many of us are wearing is rich in symbolism. Rabbi Kavod shared a little in his kavanah earlier. As God was instructing Moses in Exodus chapter 19 on how to help people prepare for the ecstatic experience of revelation at Sinai, he said, "Go to the people and warn them to stay pure today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes." Well, these white garments symbolize that purity. On Yom Kippur, like the ancient Israelites before us, we are all gathered at the foot of Sinai in a ready state to meet God. In Leviticus 16, that we will read tomorrow morning, God instructs Moses on what Aaron's going to wear when he makes expiation for all the people's sins. He shall be dressed in a sacral linen tunic, and at that point linen meant white, linen tunic with linen breeches, gird with a linen sash, and he shall wear a linen turban. These are sacral vestments. He shall bathe his body in water and then put them on. On Yom Kippur, each of us dresses the part of Aaron the high priest, ready to make expiation for ourselves, our households, and the entire congregation of Israel. That's all of our jobs. Why do we care about helping other people atone? It's about creating a strong sense of Jewish unity and paying it both backward and forward. Many of us did great personal work last year, while some of us kind of slacked off and others totally checked out. But none of that matters because we are here now, right now, in solidarity and in spirit with Jews around the world. Jews that may look nothing like us and that we might not agree with anything they believe in. But each of us is gathered tonight at the foot of Sinai and in the courtyards of the Jerusalem temples 1 and 2 to take responsibility for ourselves and our fellow travelers on an eternal journey to be a Mamlechet Kohanim and a Goy Kadosh, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. This phrase, also from Exodus 19, is what God states he expects from us in return for giving us the timeless gift of Torah. Observing Yom Kippur, however you do that, means that consciously or not, you take that obligation, that love, seriously. Here's an image to ponder. Right now, this room is pretty packed. It was a little more packed about 20 minutes ago, but it's pretty packed. It feels special. Every synagogue and Chabad house, and there's lots of those, in Orange County is full tonight. Every synagogue in Southern California, throughout the state, across the nation, and around the world has drawn the Jewish community close. This is a massive Jewish homecoming that is not compromised by our differences in theology and lifestyle, because in the end, we are all on the same path to live the most meaningful lives that we can. The centerpiece of the Yom Kippur Musaf service tomorrow will be a reenactment of the avoda ritual that's prescribed in Leviticus 16. This highly decorated service is a play within a play that depicts in detail how communal atonement actually played out when we had a temple in Jerusalem with a full priesthood and Levitical staff. As the Machzor was being designed over the last 1,600 years, the genius behind reenacting the avoda ritual was that in partners with Jews living in exile all over the world, we could transcend time and space in our minds. Telepathically, we are all worshiping in the idealized Jerusalem temple together, experiencing the deep intimacy with God that was possible there. Different time zones, they don't matter. This virtual temple that has been erected for centuries, every Yom Kippur, was visited by your parents, your grandparents, and every generation that led to the creation of you. It is more powerful and durable than the ones built of stone, bricks, and mortar. Those can be tragically destroyed by enemy nations and external forces, as ours in fact were. The eternal temple that Jews have been willing into existence for more than 1,500 years defies the material. The framework of this holy space is the power of our spirits, our imaginations, and our longing, the indomitable parts of us that don't erode with age or time, just like God. Our white garments also symbolize the costume of our birth and our death, emphasizing the circular rather than linear nature of life. They symbolize the purity with which we all entered the world as babies before the hard knocks of life shaped us, and they are the costume of our death when we will be buried in a white linen shroud and absolved once and for all for the errors of our ways. This is the essence of the Unatana Tokef section of the Musaf service, both on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which emphasizes that God is ready to take each and every one of us back into proverbial loving arms when it's our time. All the ritual tools that Judaism provides to help us get ready for this day, hearing the shofar every morning in Elul, the additional slichot prayers added to our liturgy, the special haftarot chanted on preceding Shabbatot, these are merely reinforcement tools. It is the personal growth decisions that we must make every day of our lives that tell our true story, that define the dash that lies between our date of birth and death. What that dash says about our lives is within our worldly control, and these high holidays emphasize that every moment of every day of our lives, we have the opportunity to finesse it. Every Yom Kippur, past, present, and future, is a celebration of this hopeful opportunity, which is available until the day we take our last breath, whenever that might be. And we are ready because of this annual production. The theater of Passover and Yom Kippur run in constant repertory. Our liberation story that we reenact every springtime is essential in shaping every Jewish person's life purpose, whether they were born into the faith or they chose it. The core of Jewish identity is belief in our kishkas, that we must maintain the capacity to be sensitive to struggle. Everyone's struggle, including our own. Jews are freedom fighters on two fronts, because people will be people, power hungry, greedy, insecure, and violent. Some part of humanity will always need to be liberated from tyranny and oppression somewhere. We see ourselves as God's agents to help make that happen when we're in a position to do so. But we can only do it if we maintain our personal freedom from the shackles of oppressive forces that keep us distant from the force that we call God, with whom we are bound in covenantal love. When we lose our way, when we become interested in satisfying our own indulgences and obsessions, when we start to other the other and focus only on our self-importance, that's when our capacity to empathize with the vulnerable and the voiceless is compromised. And that is not what God would have wanted when he took us out of Egypt. The custom of reciting Yizkor is one of the more recent additions to the Yom Kippur script, added during the time of the Crusades. We invite the souls of all those who shaped us, literally and figuratively, into the room. Our parents said Yizkor for their parents, who said Yizkor for their parents, and so on and so on. Each of us is a link in the chain of memory that connects us to our ancestral history. Said simply, even if one of your great, 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 great grandmothers had never existed, you would not be here. So on Yom Kippur, she shows up. Yom Kippur is a mega Jewish family reunion that defies time and space, inviting historical memory of family members whose identification with Judaism brought us to this very moment. If you are someone who chose Judaism as an adult, it is your spiritual mentors and teachers, along with your ancestors, that stand beside you. On this day, we link arms with every Jewish soul that has ever lived and share our collective hopes and dreams for a vibrant Jewish future. We, the Jewish people, in our white garments, with all of our sacred rituals and totally vulnerable selves, join hands on Yom Kippur to renew our covenant with God as a testimony of devotion and obligation to something much greater than ourselves. We certainly did not come for the oneg. We came here tonight, all of us together as one people, to stand before the judge of truth, who knows our every flaw, who remembers us from past years and is eager to sign up for another year of partnership. And even if you're one of those people in the room scratching your head thinking, that's not why I came. How can I feel obligated to a God I'm not even sure I believe in? I just came because it's what I do once a year. To you I say, keep showing up on Yom Kippur. Keep bringing your children. Keep eating matzah on Passover, hosting a 30-minute Seder, and complaining that not eating bread for 8 days is ridiculous, but you do it anyway. It's all important, and it all makes a difference. How do I know? Because here's the truth, the emes. We, the Jews, against all odds, are still here in 2024, making monumental contributions to the world that benefit all people everywhere. For over 2,000 years, we did that throughout Mesopotamia, the Middle East, the Far East, and across Asia. We are now doing that in Israel and throughout North America. Our contributions to the human family, beginning with Avraham Avinu, cannot be enumerated because they, like the stars in the sky, are too many to count. I know that there are people right here in this room who are doing such good for so many with no attribution. Most of the stunning contributions that Jewish men and women have made to help people everywhere in the world become healthier, better educated, and cultured have never been properly attributed. Or worse, they've been completely wiped away from historical annals. We were, are, and always will be small in number because in every generation, there will be forces committed to our destruction out of envy and ignorance. We know that. We expect that. We're actually living it in real time, again, right now. But twice a year, we build our sets, practice our parts, put on our costumes, take out our scripts, and come together at dining room tables and in synagogues around the world. These rituals enrich our hearts and our minds so that little dash on our matzeh vote, our gravestones, is that much brighter and more resonant. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on this tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that the first date came the birth and spoke of the following date with tears, but said that what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved them know what that little dash is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we lived and loved and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger, to show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we have never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read and your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? When Linda Ellis composed this poem in 1996, she was an unknown poet, did other stuff too. She was instantly catapulted to fame. It's called The Dash. Did she know about our Jewish tradition of focused renewal and repentance and reflection every year? Yom Kippur is our annual opportunity to assess our dash, both as individuals and as part of an incredible people that have been making the world wiser, more cultured, and humane since the day we came into being. We do these rituals every year in memory and in honor of all those who came before us, and as a future blessing to the progeny we do not yet know. May all of us be inscribed and sealed for another brave and productive year. Gemar Chatima Tova.